Hey guys, Patriot coming to you from the desktop once again. It's been a long time since I did a desktop review, but I finally got a product here that I thought would be fun. And as the title states, it's the Fenix RC-10 Rechargeable Flashlight. This, as far as I can tell, looks like a production version with production packaging. I know that there's a few non-production ones floating around out there and perhaps being tested, but I think this might be a full production one. This was provided by the good folks over at PredatorEDC.com, and they were kind enough to loan this to me for a review. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I probably should have stated this up front. I'm going to try not to go technically crazy on this light. I want enough in there that the Candle Power Forum guy will have an interesting review and enough information to make a decision on this light, but I don't want it to be so technical that the average person is going to get lost in it. First thing I'd like to mention to you is that it does come in a real nice hard case. The actual latch here is a little bit plasticky, a little bit flimsy, but to me the main purpose or the main reason for this is that it organizes and keeps everything cased in here and protected during shipping. You can do whatever you want with this stuff after you get it. Sometimes this might just end up, you know, in a closet or the attic, or sometimes collectors buy these and then pass them on to other people or do reviews on them and pass them on. They'll sell them on Candle Power Forums and whatnot. Anyhow, and the first thing you'll see in here is the RC10 itself. It's a black finish, hard anodizing, also type 3 anodizing as some people like to call it. It's got a conventional tail clicky on it with a mode switch right here, smooth reflector, XPGR5 emitter. You can see this is something that you're not going to see on most lights, is these contacts. Next thing, you'll notice that there's a 12-volt charger here, or a 12-volt socket, a wall socket that works on both 110 and the other world standard. And then you have a charging cradle. This charging cradle plugs into the 12-volt socket or the wall socket. So you can have this based at your house or in the vehicle, but the cradle goes wherever you want to charge it. So if you're going to take it with you in the car, obviously it goes with this. If you're going to charge it at home, it stays with this one. It also has a lanyard attachment back here that I didn't open because I'm not using it, so we'll just keep that stashed there. I'm going to have to give this light back, so I'm just going to try to keep it as original packaging as possible. Okay, let's put the cradle back. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Let's look again here at the light and kind of show you some of the features. You notice that the texturing is pretty decent on this light, kind of reminiscent of the O-Light. They were I think they were the first to start this heavy block style texturing. I might be wrong on that, but maybe the first of the common lights. You've got some gripping rings up here. The light overall is a little bit slippery, but it's not so heavily knurled like some flashlight lights that it's tearing up your clothes and such. Again, conventional tail clicky. You'll turn this on, it remembers the last mode wherever you shut it off at, and you'll use the side switch here to change between modes. There's low, there's the next level, and high, which is rated at 380 lumens. I suspect it's actually a little bit more than that in some of the comparisons I did with the other flashlights. I would say it's pushing 400 lumens, if not a little bit more. Okay, my initial impressions of the charging cradle. This is going to be a critical component in this thing because this is its daily charging bay. So this is something that's used every single day. I like the construction. It seems like it's built out of a heavy ABS plastic. It's easy to get the light in and out of. This is the up position. It charges bezel up like this. There's a couple different ways of putting this in here. The way I like to do is basically just line this up with these charging contacts in here. You know, face those to the back with Fenix RC10 facing straight up, and just push it straight in like that. It lines up and locks virtually every time. I hardly ever miss it. And to pull it, just push against the charging bay, I like to use my thumb and just take it out like that. The other way, you can actually start high like this and drop it into the charger, and it will line up with those contacts and hold it securely. You can see I'm twisting here and it's locked in. So very easy to use charger or charging cradle. Doesn't seem to be fussy. Note though, if you do drag the light in, I should actually cover one more thing. If you put the light in this way and you rotate it, it will lock in. So it doesn't matter which way you drag it in as far as being able to hook it up, but you're going to get some slight contact. See those two little lines on there? They actually rub off, but what that is the contacts here on the charger dragging over the light, and it puts a slight mark there. Now, just doing it a few times, it hasn't left a mark in that hard anodizing. Nothing that won't rub off. But over time, I suspect that it could wear, especially if you get a little dust on the light or a little dust on the contacts. Some of that silica type dust is very hard and can actually take its toll on the anodizing. Most people who are going to be purchasing this light aren't going to care about the wear and tear. In fact, a lot of people kind of see it as a badge of honor the more wear and use their light has on it. So for the flashlight enthusiast, or I should say the guy who likes shelf queen flashlights, he'll want to put it in like this. It will be easier on the finish. Okay, as noted by another reviewer, I've noticed that the the voltage coming out of the 110 charging set here actually charges the battery to 4.22 volts. Normally 4.2 would be considered max. A lot of people only like to run their lithium-ion batteries up to 4.15 volts, 4.2 being the upper range. So at 4.22, it's a little bit higher than most enthusiasts would like, but apparently it's within the parameters that Fenix has set for the system, for this battery itself. The battery does have an overcharge protection, it has over discharge protection, and it has a thermal regulation as well. Since we just talked about the battery and voltage, let's go ahead and take the tail cap off and take a look inside here. I'll show you what kind of battery this takes. It's a Fenix Rechargeable lithium-ion cell. It's called an ARB-L1. It's a 3.7 volts nominal, but 4.2 in peak voltage and in use. 2200 milliamp hour battery. It's got a built-in protection circuit. You'll notice that the ends of the battery are a bit different. Let me grab an 18650 here to show. Alright, here's an 18650 Ready Last cell, 3100 milliamp hours. You can see that there is a difference in length and outside diameter. This should be 18 millimeters outside diameter. This is several millimeters larger in diameter. The reason I'm showing this to you guys is so that you know that this light does not take 18650 cells. If you put an 18650 cell in there, not only does it not fit, it's too small, but the polarity on the battery, it uses a little different design. I'll show you up close here. Okay, on this battery, you can see that it has a positive terminal area here in the middle, and on the outside of this red band is the negative portion, and that's on both sides of the battery. So you turn it this way, again, positive, negative, and this battery will operate either direction. It doesn't matter which way it goes in. Now, I already know what the Candle Power Forums guys are going to say because I'm one of them. I am a Candle Power Forums member and a flashlight enthusiast. This setup is not really going to appeal to the flashlight enthusiast. You know, the flashlight enthusiast likes to pick their own cells. They like to have other cells on hand. They can pop out an 18650 cell. This is a Xeno X5 G42. The guy can pop out his cell, replace it with another 18650 cell, and he's on his way again. Well, this does require taking the tail cap off changing it out, taking this home, charging it on a charger, and having another battery on his person or with him in his kit, and if the battery goes dead, he takes this off, puts another cell in. Okay, so a little bit different philosophy of use there, to use a nut and fancy term, but this is the kind of light that's made to be used as a primary light, but we're going to get back to that a little bit. My point here is that it is a proprietary cell, and that it's probably not going to appeal to the die-hard flashlight enthusiast. This is going to be more of a duty light, and we'll touch on that in just a bit. Go ahead and close things back up here. I mentioned before that this was using an XPGR5 emitter. You can see it's very well centered. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's perfect enough that when I examine the beam on a wall closely, that there's very little artifact or anything funny happening. You can see it has a smooth reflector. It is considered a smooth, but there is a very slight micro texture to it. Probably pretty hard to see on the camera, but a lot of these smooth reflectors do have a micro texture on them, and it's just probably from the machining or the forming that's left over. But it's going to throw far better than an orange peel reflector. Okay, this is probably a good time to go over the user interface. It has a conventional clicky tail cap back here. Push this in and it remembers the last mode that you were on. On the side switch, that selects between your modes. You press and it goes down to the next mode. This is low. Low mode is 5 lumens. The next level up is 40 lumens. The next level up is 140 lumens. And finally, high gives you 380 lumens with quite a bit of throw. Got myself a little bit sidetracked there. So back to the modes. When the flashlight is on in any mode and you press and hold the side switch, it will activate strobe mode and it will hold strobe mode. Press it again and it goes back to the previous mode. So we use strobe mode out of low right there. Let's go next level, next level, next level, and then if I just push and hold this, there's strobe. It takes about 1 second, maybe 3/4 of a second. And then push it again to return to standard continuous mode. If I push the tail clicky in, the light turns back off. Now you can also access strobe a different way, and that is just to press and hold this even when this is off, even when the flashlight's off. If you press and hold the side switch, it will come on strobe mode as well. But I'll call that a momentary strobe mode because it doesn't stay on. It only stays on as long as your finger's holding it in. As soon as you release your finger, it shuts off. There's high again, press and hold, there's strobe mode again. Strobe mode's a bit controversial. A lot of people don't have a use for it. Frankly, I don't mind it. I'm not one of the guys who complains about strobe mode, especially if it's easily accessed. I'd like to see maybe a slightly shorter hold-in time on the switch. Rather than holding it for a second or 3/4, I'd like to see it a 1/4 second or less. I think it would be a little bit more useful. If you had to take out this light and use it, you need strobe right away in a circumstance that you're going to use strobe, tactically speaking. The other thing I noticed, and this is just a very minor thing, there is a very slight delay when I change modes here on the side switch to where it goes to the next level. I would say it's very, very short, not a big deal. Doesn't really, I don't think it would bother me. It's just that if I was going to make the light perfect, I'd probably get rid of that delay. Okay, this light is a fully regulated light. It does not use pulse width modulation or that strobing effect that you might have seen on some models. I've got a little Meritac AAA light here, and you can see that there's a strobing effect when you move the light rapidly. Normally you can't detect that with the eye, but some people will notice it when anything's moving, either the background or the light itself. This Meritac AA light uses a slightly faster, actually substantially faster pulse width modulation. It really cuts down that strobe effect, but it is still there. It might be a little funny with the timing on this this video shutter, but This one you'll see there is no strobing effect on any mode. Doesn't matter which mode it's at. And of course high is regulated as well. Usually it's the lower modes that show pulse width modulation on a light like this, and then the light on high goes into direct drive where it won't show PWM. In any case, this is a fully regulated light. The steps, when it steps down, were not really perceivable to me. So if you were to look at that on a graph chart, it kind of it would probably take very short steps throughout its runtime, kind of like this. So it's a pretty crude animation there with my fingertip, but anyhow, I didn't notice any huge steps in this light, and the regulation seems to be pretty good. Runtime on that 2200 milliamp hour battery, which is a bit on the short side for an 18650 style or size battery. This one, for instance, is 3100 milliamp hours. Oh, that's 29 actually. The other one I had was a 31. So 2200 milliamp hour is not a whole lot of capacity for the size of that cell. I'd like to see a 2600 or a 3000 milliamp hour cell for this light. Perhaps that'll come in the future, but with this cell on high, I was getting about an hour and 50 minutes. It's stated to be an hour and 50 minutes, or an hour and 55 on high. I was getting just under that. Very minor downsides about the light. It does not have an anti-roll bezel, so if you set this on a flat surface or your car hood or the roof or something like that, something that a law enforcement officer might do, or a firefighter or something, this light does roll. It would be nice if it had an anti-roll feature of some type, but it does not. The other thing, it does have a tactical style switch that sticks out slightly past the end of the light. You can see here that the switch does stick out past the light, so it does not tail stand. If you want to tail stand this light, you're probably going to have to do something like that. This is a cold glass of ice water. I actually did runtime tests in the ice water, or at least a couple of them, and was reading a book and using this as a ceiling bounce, just ceiling bounce illumination, and it worked really well, and the thing stayed freezing cold in that ice water. Thing is rated to IPX8 standards, or about 2 meters of submersion, and I did throw it into the fish tank, and which is about 2 feet deep, and had no problems with water entry or anything like that. I really see this light as the working professional's primary light. It's not a little itty bitty backup style light or anything like that. I think it can fully replace the duty style light. And yes, it's hard to believe that I actually see cops that still carry something like this, or a mag charger. That's not my style. I know that they enjoy the incandescent light sometimes, just not my style. I cannot imagine, with all the other stuff that you have to carry on your belt, carrying something like this. So we'll throw that across the room. But I can see this replacing or filling the role as a main duty light, and a cop having a backup light in addition to this, maybe with CR123s in it or something. So you've got 2 highly reliable lights here, or at least I think this is going to prove to be highly reliable. But I think this would make a good combo, or even a 1-cell tactical light. If this one conks out on you, or you've gone from stop to stop, and you deplete that cell and you don't have time to charge that thing, you can always carry a backup light. Because of the size of the lights today in the output, we don't have to deal with that huge mag light or mag charger. Okay guys, we're back here. We're going to do a quick white wall test here with the RC10, just so that you can kind of see the profile. don't pay so much attention to the beam color here because it's very hard to determine on video, but you will be able to get a little bit of a comparison. This is the beam profile of an LX2. You can see the LX2 right here, and that's on low, and there's high. Now you'll see some compensation effect there from the camera, but next to it I'm going to turn on the RC10, and you can see this light is quite the throw machine. It has a hotter center than even the renowned LX2 that is known for that tear optic and its throw. It's slightly cooler in color temperature, but you can see the corona and of the RC10 is much wider, and it actually has a very large usable corona. That graduation that you're probably seeing, or what I'm seeing in the viewfinder, these steps are not really there in real life. It does have that center spot, and you can see a very slight donut effect going on in the beam, but in actual use anywhere but a white wall, that's really not visible at all. In fact, if you look at the LX2 here, you see a substantial donut effect and some chromatic aberration or some rainbow effect on the outside of that beam because of that tear optic. But you can see just what a good thrower the RC10 is. Very impressive. Okay, let's turn this light on once again. This is the RC10 on high, and you see it's kind of cool at first. It's actually showing up slightly warmer on the viewfinder than it is on the wall. When I first turn the light on, it's a little bit more of the true color. Now this Xeno G42 right here is, you'll notice that this is a serious throw light and has a slightly hotter hot spot, a very slight donut effect, but it doesn't have as nice of a corona as the Fenix. So remember, this light here is known as quite the thrower, and this is right on its heels. The RC10 is right on its heels. So a couple of really good lights. It's impressive considering the difference in the size of the bezels of these two lights. I should say the reflector area. Last but not least, we didn't touch on price yet. MAP pricing on this product is going to be $129. If you go over to PredatorEDC.com, they are the people who loaned this to me for testing, and they offer free shipping, and if you use code Patriot36, that's coupon code or discount code Patriot36, you will get an additional 5% off from those guys. They're pretty good over there. I've had nothing but good service from them, and I think that they'll treat you right. So that's going to be it for this review, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, anything more technical, I've got lots of notes on this light, so just send me a PM or just post your questions in the video. And of course, if you like the video, click like for me. Really appreciate the support as always. Thanks for watching this review of the Fenix RC10. Take care, guys. Patriot out.